Hello, everybody. My name is Athenia Rodney, CEO and founder of Umoja Events and co-creator of the Juneteenth Summit for 2021. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here today as we have a lot of things in store that I'm sure you will be very excited to be a part of. But to start, I am going to do some emoji events highlights. It's like, oh, that's so dope. Thanks to my intern team for putting this together. Appreciate it. So um, to start, so our first event starting tomorrow is a vision board. It's starting January 18th. It will be at 7 p.m. Now, you may ask, what's a vision board, right? So this year, well, let's say last year, there were a number of things that were kind of happening. But before the year started, I put together a vision board. And as luck would have it, or should I say the manifestations that would have it, I was manifesting what was to happen throughout the year and didn't know it. I put on there that I wanted to work from home, and guess what? Not just me, but everybody works from home. So you never know what you'll manifest in doing this. So we definitely hope that you'll be able to join us. We'll have a live DJ, our DJ Fame, who I'm sure you know. That's my one of my other co-creators. Who definitely puts some work in when it comes to music is concerned. So tomorrow, January 18th at 7 p.m., it is $15 to join. So we definitely hope that you will join us in that space. And you can go to the link tree /Umoji events to join. So next up, every Friday, every Friday, we have what's called a weekly networking event. Sorry. We have a weekly networking event. Well, I would love for you to join us as we attend. It is a subsidiary of Master Networks. There are a bunch of people that come on. We do a whole lot of networking, getting to know what your business is about, and pouring into each other. So we definitely hope that you can join us. It's every Friday at 9 a.m. It's on Zoom. If you go to the bit.ly link, Umoja Networks, it'll be a direct link to it. So we definitely hope that you'll be able to join us. Next up, we have, so we're starting what's called our business book club. And we start on January 31st at 5 p.m. We'll talk about what the books we were going through for the year. And basically, it's a space where we'll be able to go through a book and talk about how we're applying those principles into our business lives. I know for myself and a lot of others, we love to have people to co-create with us so that we can to hold us accountable for what we're doing in our businesses, especially if you are doing your business alone. It helps to have someone to check in on you every now and then and make sure that you are moving forward as you said you would. So another part of this holding forward your goals for the year. Next up, we have this. Now this is a newbie, right? This is our baby that we have been working on. And when I say we, I mean the collective we of the Umoja Juneteenth team that has been putting together this summit. So we are putting together Umoja Events Kwanzaa Hat Award. So we started off the year in Kwanzaa. So everything that we do this year is going to be all about Kwanzaa. So this is no different. We are going to be highlighting 7 queens that represent one of the individual principles of Kwanzaa. So if you know someone who is in your community or around you that you would like to highlight, that you would like to praise, that you would like to share with the world is doing amazing things, and they fit into one of these criterias of Kwanzaa, please recommend them. Again, everything is on the link tree /Umoja events, where you'll be able to share your information about anyone. And you can nominate yourself. That's also okay. Sometimes people don't know everything that you're doing, and you are the best advocate for yourself. So we definitely encourage you to please, if you are interested in being nominated, please register. Next up, our Juneteenth pomp pageant. This is another one. Like this year has been fire. We have been doing some amazing things, and it's so exciting. So our Juneteenth pomp pageant. We are highlighting as part of our Juneteenth event on the last day, on the Sunday. We're highlighting our youth who are in entrepreneurship. So we are supporting them. We have some funding for them. We have some scholarships for them. We have some amazing things that are going to be going on for these pageant winners. So we definitely hope that if you have a young person between the ages of 14 and 19 years of age, that you will go to the Linktree emoji events, Linktree/emoji events, and register your young person. We will be doing etiquette classes. You'll have some special guest mentors from the Roca, which are the Rockettes, the Black Rockettes, which we will have on next month that we'll be doing a panel. So we definitely hope that you will come and join us for that. So if you have a teen, a preteen or teen between the ages of 14 and 19 that you think, and this is for males and females, So this is not just for one or the other. We are looking to have both of them. And yes, guys do enter pageants. So we want to be able to highlight our teens in that way. Okay. Now, we are also looking for vendors. So you'll start to see promotions coming out about our vendors. If you have been with us for the last 12 years, you know that we are always pouring into our vendors. They are our, well, at least mine, they're my biggest love, right? Because I used to be one. So I know what it's like to be a vendor. And that's one thing that I don't shy away from, and making sure that we are giving our vendors everything that we possibly can. We typically have about 5,000 attendees that come to our event. This year is looking to be way more than that. I'll have to tell you a little bit later about the things that are in store. Don't want to let the cat out the bag until things happen. But we have some partnerships in line that are looking to be really amazing, that are going to triple that number that we have in attendance on a regular basis. So we hope that you join us if you want to be a vendor. And that's for any products, food. And if you also want to be a presenter, because we're going to be doing live and in person. So if you want to be a presenter, we'll have a presentation space for you to be able to join us on that in that capacity. Next up, rebirthing the roots of entrepreneur excellence. So this is our title for our entire Juneteenth summit. That entire week, we are looking to bring the fire. Like, we are really looking to bring everything that we have to share with you the what is entrepreneurial excellence and how do we get there. So we want to bring everyone back to the Black Wall Street. How do we get there? What do we do? How was it done before? And so we're going to be looking at things along those lines as we lead up to Juneteenth weekend. And then the weekend will have, as you saw, a bunch of different activities going on. So, and I think this is last before I do my introductions. We also have our Emoji Events Black Business Directory. So you're like, what's that? So we have been working with vendors, like I said, for the last 12 years. So it only is right that we put together a directory showcasing all of our Black vendors that we have in the tri-state area. Now, isn't that amazing? Now, not only, this is not like a yellow book. Like, it's funny, I got a yellow book in the mail the other day and I was like, what is this? I'm still old enough to remember what the yellow book is, but some people I'm sure don't. But it's not like the yellow book. This, we are going to be highlighting individuals on our social media pages. We're going to be, posting videos about things that our community is doing, and giving them opportunities to present as some of our monthly learning labs that we have presented here, like we do today. And lastly, so now, drum roll, please. What you all came here for today? Woo, woo, woo. I am introducing to you all Breaking the Chains, a story dispelling workshop presented by Jaimie Mone't Lloyd, aka the High Healer, featuring Coach Charmaine Callender and comedian / activist Marlon Randolph. So let me bring them on. Why y'all laughing at me? All of y'all laughing.
I think Marlon is laughing at the title. Are you laughing at the title I gave you, Marlon? No, I'm not laughing at it. It's funny because back in the days, around the time Obama was running, I used to always
Oh,
get
come
that from
on.
people.
Don't start freezing on me now.
They,
We
they,
can hear you.
a lot of people would always,
Can
say,
you
"Are
hear
you
me?
a comedian or an activist?" So that's why that made me laugh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, you are. I mean,
Oh.
just in the little that we've known, the last couple of months of working with you, I already see it. I see it in your posts on your social media. So, you're definitely that. And sometimes we need people to speak it into us, right? The things that we don't really see that we're doing ourselves. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it can be exhausting, but you're right. I was watching this show on Prime. I don't know if you guys watched it yet about Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, and Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke, that One Night in Miami on Amazon Prime. Did you guys get a chance to see it yet?
no.
Okay, all right. So I
Mm-mm.
won't spoil it then.
Okay, I'll definitely look it up. You're gonna have to send that to me so I can share that out to the community for sure. But
Yeah,
I am gonna turn it over to Jaimie. Are you ready, my love?
I am, as long as my connection is okay, because I'm hearing you guys a little choppy, but as long as you guys can hear me, I'm good.
Yep. You're coming out good. No choppiness, nothing. You're good.
Right. Must be my side. Well,
because you're
thank
in
you
the
for
car,
having me,
Jamie.
first of all. What happened?
Because you're in the car.
You know what? Let me go ahead and step outside. Maybe that'll help me. Let's see. Let's see. But in the meantime, I can continue to welcome everybody and thank everyone for showing up. Is that better? Does that help?
We can hear you.
Let's see. Let's see. Share my skyline. Share my backdrop. All right. My bars got higher. But I still can't hear you guys. It's so...
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
You know what?
it's all
That
good.
wasn't the fit. Okay, there. All right. All right. Give me...
She frozen again.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
She got to get all glammed up and everything. She got to put glasses on.
That's some
See,
that's some Wi-Fi issue. She didn't pay that Sprint T-Mobile bill yet.
that's
Hey.
what happens when you out in Vegas. She out there partying. She's spending that money. That's why.
Coach Charmaine was about to tear into me. You a Sprint user?
No, honey. T-Mobile.
I'm T-Mobile too. Yeah, 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 yeah. But I didn't they just merged though, right?
Yeah, they
Yes, they
did.
did. They did.
So the Sprint
Yeah,
customers are catching
yeah.
hell right now. I hear.
Say that
Yeah,
again.
because they still paying that high price and they dealing with T-Mobile.
The Sprint customers, man. You don't like T-Mobile, Athena?
No, I'm with T-Mobile. I'm saying I used to be with Sprint, and I jumped right away because they weren't doing a great job at all. So their
Yeah,
customer service was horrible.
the customer service
Okay.
in
Is that
Indonesia.
better?
Yep, much better.
All right, community. Thank you much. Thanks for that suggestion, Marlon. I just had to act like I was Wi-Fi and just spin around a couple of times, walk around the car until I found the sweet spot. And I did. I did. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today in the Breaking the Chains presentation. Breaking the Chains is about stories, myths, folk tales that don't serve our folks, our people, our communities, our lives, our loved ones. So, what exactly is storytelling and breaking the chains? So, we have intergenerational traumas and patterns and stories that we're told, things that are passed down to us that can then become blockages and stoppages. I will go into some of those shortly, as well as then bringing in Coach Charmaine and Sir Marlon to have share and just to deepen and see where this takes us. So, breaking the chains. One of the chains I'll share that I was able to break through my first, let me share that through the program Landmark and through a program that I coach with called Be the Tree, we speak of storytelling. There's a lot of stories that we build in our head. I call them mind movies. And one of them that I had built in my head was that tarot cards were secular, no good. They were of the devil, um, all of those kind of things. And where that story came from And this is literally a story I made up because no one in my family ever told me that there was anything wrong with tarot cards. But just based on the principles that my family instilled in me through the Pentecostal church down in Virginia, in my mind, I created a story that tarot cards were of the devil, that they were no good. In reality, after doing a lot of unpacking and looking at what was really coming up for me, what I realized and learned is that I was afraid of the cards and using my family as an excuse, as a crutch to not move forward with something that I did actually believe in, and was a touch bit scared of it because giving power to other people to have say in, not to say in your lives, but to give you information that comes or may come from a higher power. We're not necessarily taught to trust in that, to believe in that. And it was.
Oh, we lost her again. Okay. So, Coach Charmaine, while we waiting on her, what is card? Okay, she's back.
You know, I'm actually, what I'm going to do is have my partner in crime, Coach Charmaine, come in so that way in this conversation, if I drop off again like this, you can just dive in and support me here because you know exactly what I'm speaking of. You know exactly how to present the examples. You know exactly what this work is all about and are in it with me fully and completely. So with that being said, I would love to bring you in, and then we'll go ahead and pass on to Marlon to see what comes out of this. You're on mute, beloved.
What can I
I
say
love
about storytelling?
technology.
I know, right? What can I say about storytelling? There's a lot, a lot, a lot. And I have quite a few. Being British born, being raised by Trinidadian parents, there's a lot of stories that I created around culture, around skin color, around hair. Um, I remember at the age of 12, 11, 12, I was going to, I was still in London. I was going to all girls convent school, Catholic school, because we're staunch Catholics. And I remember coming home, putting a towel on my head and telling my mother that I'm white. She saw me flipping the towel, like, what's wrong with you? I'm white. Why do you think you're white? I said, can't you see I have blonde hair? I don't like this kinky hair that I have. When I grow up, I'm going to make sure that I get straight blonde hair, and when I think about that story, the story of my color skin was too dark. My brother color skin was fair and accepted. That the story I built around my head in my head was that again, my skin color is no good, my hair is no good. The only way I can be accepted in society or in life in general is by changing the hair and bleaching the skin. And I remember as soon as I got I started babysitting. And as soon as I was able to get my first set of money, guess what was the first thing I ran to the store to do? Buy some bleach cream and some bleach soap to soap and bleach the skin away. Well, hey, the skin ain't going nowhere. I still got the same whole color that I had back then. So it's just amazing how the stories that we build up in our head around culture or around just our principles and values, like you were
Question for you,
saying.
Coach.
Mhm.
Question for you. And could you share with the community where and how do you think you actually, like, what were the things that you heard from the elders and the folks around you that led you to creating that story within, outside of, we know that the world has colorism and things like that, but what do you think it is that you actually heard that made you create that story in your head?
Well, what I was told was that because my mom's side was mixed with Chinese, mixed with Caucasian, Caribbean. Um, I mean, I have some cousins that are white with blue eyes. And so because they were mixed up and they were more, they had more of the fine features, they had the fine long hair. My father's side is more African. So I took more of the African side of it, where I have, yeah, I got the length of the hair, but my hair is kinky. The color of my skin is much darker. I have stronger African features compared to them. And I was told that it was ugly. So I built the story around ugliness, wanting to change the ugliness by trying to change the texture of my hair, by going into the store and buying the bleach cream and the soap and everything humanly possible. And, back then we didn't have internet. So, everything was word of mouth. If you mix some baby powder with some lime in it and you paste it on your face, that's going to change the color of your skin, Or if you take some hydrogen peroxide and you put it in your hair and you stand up in the sun, that's going to change the color of your hair. Yeah, it changed the color of the hair, but it broke it up as well. So that's where I got that story, being told that the color of my skin and because I had thick, coarse hair, was not acceptable in the family, that I was ugly. Okay, I think she's frozen again.
She froze. That's interesting. And where were you? You say you were born in Britain, but where were you raised?
My first 12 years of life, I was raised in London. And when I came home that day and said that I thought I was white, my parents said, "Oh no, these children need a rude awakening." So we went back. They took us to Trinidad, and that's where it was even furthermore perpetuated. I saw it with my grandmother. My grandmother had favorites, and the favorites with her grandchildren are those who had the soft hair and those who were high in color. Those of us who were dark, she didn't want to be bothered with us. Yeah, so it was strengthened there.
Yeah. So it was strengthened in Trinidad. That's what you're. Okay. So it's interesting. First of all, before we start, I have to tell you, you're extremely beautiful. Before we even go further, we're going to start. That's important because I can't have you speaking your truth like this without stating facts. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So unfortunately, the people who were making these comments, they didn't understand colonization, and that's something that should be discussed in all African homes, African American.
That I don't know.
Say it again. Oh, okay. I don't know if that was Jaimie or not. She's frozen really bad. So, but colonization is very important, right? Because if we talk about colonization, like when you have little kids, and I'll make myself a little vulnerable on this. So with my two daughters, the mothers, they get very disturbed when I talk about colonization, because I start to talk about how it's important we strip away Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Barbie, these things that start very early will make them start to look in the mirror and not reflect on what beauty is. And if you're celebrating Christmas and Easter more than you're celebrating your parents, that's a problem. And and when these things are embedded, in these holidays, they're partial into the indoctrination. So we get colonized, and then we go to a church where the person that is our savior that we pray to doesn't look like you. So all this start to play a role into us. And as men, this is why they don't choose. Why the black men do not choose. They do not choose wives that reflect their mothers. And a lot of that is because of the colonization. It's ignored because we accept the American dream as opposed to understanding the American dream. America is great, but understand it, right? So if you don't understand it, then you're going to walk around and think, well, when the rights and the Constitution was created, they thought of you. They did not think of you. So the Constitution is something that we just saw this play out last Wednesday. You have lawmakers who are saying, hey, it was nothing what those guys did was wrong, and it's already being whitewashed. You're not even seeing it as much as you would have seen it if it was somebody else. So this all plays a role to colonization. I called my daughter this week, my oldest, my 14-year-old, and I said, I want you to Google who was the guy that saved all those senators in the Capitol. And she Googled and she asked why. I said, because it's important that as you grow, you know what heroes look like. One thing I noticed about other cultures, little boys, if they're not black, they play with little police cars and fire engines because they want to be heroes when they grow up. Black boys fear cops and they don't want to be firefighters. And most of the time, the father.
That's
So
real.
all that plays a role into colonization as well. So we end up raising little boys to be women. By the time they turn into men, they can't even get involved in good relationships because because these things were not discussed and talked about. Now, this is not for anybody to be defensive because I'm not here to create that dynamic. I was only raised by my mom too, but I'm still learning this whole. I've never been fishing. I had to learn how to tie my tie from YouTube. So all this plays a big role into how we choose partners. All this play a big role in how we communicate with each other, right? So I'm gonna play the other side of what you said. When I was little and I saw Linda Carter on Wonder Woman, I said, when I grow up, I'm gonna marry somebody like that. Because when I looked at Good Times and Jeffersons, they were the epitome of ugly. When I saw Louise Jefferson, or if I saw Florida Evans, that was somebody I didn't want. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not attractive,
Right.
because they're not. But if you're not having balance, which is what they always get to have, they get to have the Ma, and then they get to have the Linda Carter. If we don't get the balance, I didn't start seeing beautiful black women on TV until rappers start putting them in videos. You understand what I'm saying? Because they were not you did not see that. So we got to stop at some point putting everything on society and start at home. When I was growing up, every black family had an Ebony, Essence, and Jet magazine in their house. And you always saw Black Beauty in there, Jane Kennedy, or in Jet magazine, page 43, the Black Beauty of the month. These things are missing. So now all we're seeing is a lot of womanizing, misogynistic things being glamorized. And it's getting scary. Women who look like your mom, you're gladly calling them bitches. It's just it's worse.
Crazy.
It's crazy, and it's worse than when it was when you were younger. I really do fear the direction of what my daughters will have to encounter as they choose husbands and mates. And it's tough because I don't want to argue with their mothers about me trying to be proactive for them when they get older, and then they go, you think you know everything. That's not smart. That's part of the colonization bullshit too, right? you know. So I'm glad you said what you said, because I can see in some of my old comedy shows, the old Marlon would have made some jokes that would have been uncomfortable. But I got to a point, I just said, I don't even want to make fun of my sisters no more. Even some of that shit is funny, but some of it ain't funny. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's like when you look at some old Def Comedy Jam tapes and stuff, and you're like, man, that's it's funny, but the only people dogging the sisters right now is black men.
Right.
You can't do that shit on a platform where millions of people are watching. You understand what I'm saying? You can't hang dirty laundry like that, man. Come on. You know, it's something else I watched on Netflix the other night about the crack epidemic. Then I'm gonna shut up. I know I'm talking too much. I can't help myself.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is.
There's a reason why you're here, okay?
It's a documentary about crack. And I had no idea during that whole epidemic that they were locking black women up for smoking crack. They were the media got to a point that what they were trying to say is that these women were bad mothers, and they created this whole thing on the media called crack babies. And what they were doing, you had Geraldo, he went into a hospital and he's holding baby, and it's all over the news where they're saying this is going to be the new generation of babies. And they start saying millions of children were crack babies, which was never true.
Right.
So one doctor who would trick pregnant women, when she was testing them to find out she was pregnant, she would ask them questions like, you don't have to worry, I won't say nothing to nobody. Where did you buy the crack and how long you been smoking it? And some of the ladies were tricked into answering these questions. As soon as they gave delivery, not 1 hour later, they were being taken to prison. Being taken to prison. Can you imagine?
That's nuts. And I'm actually glad that you went there, because that's actually a great to take me into traumas, generational patterns. That, to me, it's interesting that you say that they were doing that at that time, but meanwhile today no one's looking at the age of certain children. Like we live in a time frame right now where suicide is up so much within our communities, and especially with the youth. And no one ties together where that story actually really matters. It didn't matter back then when you were trying to put someone on the stage to have your show and to be topic of the day, and then to go on about your life, living your life, doing what you're doing. Meanwhile, we have communities that where it is not a million, like you said, there are a lot of children that are affected, and that chemical that was induced by those mothers did cause chemical imbalances, and it's in the youth that's out here. And you don't know, there are always things that we need to consider outside of just the stories that were built within us. But what was our makeup? What went into our bodies when we were being created and carried around in our mother's bodies? And how does that look when we're 19, 21, 25, 35, 45? It matters. It all is information as to who we are and how we can show up. And that's what came up for me with that story, and the trauma that it can actually cause, and how that pattern can show up later. And wondering why that same child that might have had no real, effects, may now be a huge addict of something else and may not even realize that there's a correlation. So where it actually matters is completely overlooked and disregarded. And then they become part of that society that you were talking about, which is now living out loud and proud and liberating themselves through sex, drugs, and money.
Well, there was no evidence that those kids were developing under any drugs or cocaine. They were being traumatized mostly from the conditions they were living in. But that was something that the government used to once again attack Black women. Like,
but that's the sad part. There was no evidence, no follow-up. There's no follow-up. It's just like it was used literally as a story of the moment, as a topic of today. Let me get ratings today. Let me have people come in and make, not to mention that, okay, now even more stories get built. Because why do people clutch their purses around us? Why are purchase clutched by certain folks when they're around us? It's because of the media. It's because of things like that, and those numbers, and people caring more about ratings for the evening, for the day, than them actually caring about the people that they're reporting on and speaking on.
Media, after the Civil War, what a lot of white supremacists were able to get away with was with a lot of they would use propaganda. So they would hang pictures up, because there were a lot of Black people who were thriving and doing really good in the Reconstruction. And there's another story I just saw on Vox in 1898 in Wilmington, Delaware. There was a town that was flourishing exactly like Greenwood and Oklahoma. That's not the only town. There's a lot of towns. They were all erased from libraries across the map for a reason. Because once those guys got into power, and Black men got into power, and people were flourishing, all it took was something just like last Wednesday, that mob mentality to wipe it out, and the government never held anybody accountable for it. So what they're going to do is real quick to say we need to bring peace and let's just move forward, and that has happened so many times. So what we end up seeing, and this. I'm just sorry I get a little emotional about this, because it's one of those things where it's like you only have a certain amount of years on this earth, and you spend it trying to fight something that you're outnumbered on. We're outnumbered. So it would just help in many ways that we were more responsible with our social media. When I turn on my social media and I see guys just posting awful things about Black women or Black children, you're doing way more harm than any other media source could do. So these propaganda machines now, social media has made it even more dangerous. In my opinion, has made it even more dangerous. That's why they're able. Why do you think the president was able to send out a tweet? He's got 88 million people following him, and they had to shut it down. That's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. So imagine if you're in Reconstruction and there was no Twitter around, you just had to have all these little meetings inside barns at night and behind closed door meetings. But now you can just do whatever you want on Twitter, and all these things happen. And in the meanwhile, our kids are not joining any NRAs. They're not trained to fight. They're not being familiar with what's going on, and they only listening to rappers. And I'm not shitting on rappers, because I know Stacey Abrams in Atlanta used the Gucci Mane and what's the other guy? Gucci Mane and what they
21
had.
Savage.
They had the versus battle. She used that. She used all those
Oh,
to make sure she got people involved.
yeah, Jeezy.
Jeezy. So the rappers have everybody's ears. Even Obama had to hire Jay-Z when he was running. They you know, and that's not new. What do you think that the presidents back in the days, they would hire Sammy Davis Jr. or Harry Belafonte, Dick Gregory stopped doing comedy to go and be with the civil rights, and that's how Bill Cosby got his start. So it's not new. We're not doing there's nothing new going on. The only thing that's changed is that we're not handing blueprints down. Harry Belafonte,
thank you.
Yes. Harry Belafonte said one of the mistakes that the civil rights movement made is that they celebrated instead of understanding that was the first step to civil rights, and that you have to keep moving forward. And it's
a lot more work to do.
And stop allowing ourselves to be divided, whether it's because we have a difference in opinions, because it's fine for us. I'm 44 and I have this very like on the line love with hip hop. I have a off and on, like I have this love affair with hip hop, that I'm very aware of the newer artists that are out, and I have this space that I live in my car and I turn it up, but if my windows are down, I'm like clutching my pearls, like, did I just say that? So I do know that, you know, with judgment removed and kind of bringing that bridge in between is what is really important. I love all of that. I love it so much, which I think leads me into the stories that we kind of build up based on what we see, because I believe that there's stories that based on the elders not being able to speak to the youth in a way that makes them feel accepted and not judged, in that there's story built that we can't come together. There's story built that of the reasons why we can't come together. There's no reason why I couldn't stand next to a young lady just because she's a tad bit underdressed to me and still deliver something and speak the same to different people. Because how do we reach the generations without all generations being present? What comes up for you guys?
That's a great, you know what, I've been talking so much. Coach Charmaine, get in that.
Bring it in. Bring it in, because this youth here, you know all about this too.
Say your question again.
So just what comes up for you? What comes up for you around the discussion between, because what I'm hearing right now, where our conversation went, is stories that are built between the youth and the elders, things that are keeping us from coming together as communities. And what I would ask you is being a Trinidadian and not being an English Trinidadian, what do you know of that division? And because I'm sure there's something there that takes place between the youth and the elders where there's a division and stories being festered and growing under the surface because of us not having communication and clarity and sharing our authentic, transparent feelings on something. Because that's what I heard even in your share of like the elders raising you, that between these statements and them not embracing whatever their children look like and making them feel beautiful and 100% loved, that's where the space for the stories came in, the space for you to even create the stories. Because had grandma empowered you, and I know she loved you, I know that for a fact, because I've seen you share the love that you had for her. So I know it wasn't, I know it was reciprocal. But in that, our judgment of skin tone, we don't sometimes realize that we're making people feel ostracized. So that left space for you to create that story. So what do you know of what's going on now in today's youth around you that could help draw it together, us together, all of us?
One of the things that I used to go to St. Paul Community Baptist Church with, he's now Bishop Johnny Ray Youngblood. And one of the key things that he has always said is the way out is back through. And we have to, it is our responsibility as the elders now to really go back and understand our history, understand where where it was broken down. Like I did the cycle breaker, and I did a genogram with E.L. Robin.
Robin, yeah. St.
Right.
Clair,
And
yes.
she asked some simple questions. Well, from in my I was molested as a child. She says, "Well, go back in your generations, and do you see the pattern?" And when I went back, I see the pattern.
Mm.
I see the pattern going back in the generations. So we have to go back into our history. No matter what it is, and it's not, I'm not saying history. I'm not just talking about going back into slavery. I'm talking about going back into our family history. Go back into it and dig deep and really do the work
Unpack
and
it and
unpack
unpack.
it in
Mm-hmm.
order to be able to meet the youth where they are, because it's the same. It's the same cycle. It's the
The
same vicious
patterns, the
cycle.
patterns are
Yeah,
there.
it's there. It's the same thing going on and on and on. You know, I found out that my mother was molested in her late 60s, early 70s. So now I understand why she didn't believe it happened to me, because of the pain went through. My grandmother had her
Ashe.
at 14. I
Ashe.
don't know what the circumstances was around her having my mother, but there's trauma, there's pain there. So the only way that we can really get to our youth is we got to get ourselves together. I can't come to
Ashe.
the youth to tell the youth that, listen, this is what you got to do, and my shit's stinking.
Ashe.
I have to get me together. I have to do the work. I have to get grounded so I can come to the youth now and I can tell them, and listen, baby, I done did the work, and this I'm here to help you do your work, and this is the path. And for us to come together. So the way out is back through. Go back and unpack it. Go back and fix it for yourself. You may not be able to fix it for that generation, but at least you can fix it for yourself. And now you can impart that into the youth, whether it's a young man. I mean, I used to work for ACQC, A Center, Queens County, and I was a health educator for at-risk youth. And that's what I did. I showed up like them. I brought myself down to their level. I didn't talk at them. I spoke with them. I really sat down and I listened to them. I had one kid that was in a gang, and I understand. I said, what is it that has you in this gang? If I don't join the gang, they're gonna beat me up every day. I don't want to get beaten up every day, so I'm gonna just join the gang. And we just worked with him and worked with him, and eventually that kid threw that bandana in that damn circle and said, "I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I don't want to be a part." So if we work on self first and foremost, then we can go to the youth, because the youth, they watching us, and they can
Ashe.
tell when we come to them. If we don't come to them authentic and we don't come to them grounded, or come to them as someone that has really done the work, oh, they're gonna tell you about yourself. They
Yeah,
will tell you. They
yeah.
ain't stupid, and we have to stop downplaying them as though they are stupid, because they are not. This generation ain't got no damn fear. First and foremost, they're not afraid. I hear
And
my son saying that, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die. I ain't afraid of nothing, Ma. I'm more afraid for him than he is for himself. So we
Well,
have to
you
recognize that they have a different type of energy. Embrace that energy in order for us
Ashe.
to be able to pull them in.
Ashe. And that speaks to me in the terms of, people look at Colin Kaepernick like he's crazy for giving up contracts, for standing up for something. And you're right, these generations that are his age and under, they aren't afraid. They aren't afraid to throw in the towel. They aren't afraid. All of them aren't putting themselves on the line, which speaks to what Marlon was saying, is that I do often get frustrated with the people that have power through their voice because of their standings in society, and looking at how much more they could do, because we know for a fact we're not getting any more MLKs. We're not going to get any more Malcolms. But what we can get are the Collins, are the people that are doing their part on the front line. And something else that comes up for me, because I tend to get myself in trouble with the BLM conversation, because I go, Black lives will matter to the rest of the world when they begin to matter more to us. When
Okay.
we start to tighten up our communities.
No, go ahead.
And this, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, because you did get in trouble, but I'm gonna wait till you finish.
No, listen, I'm always in trouble, because the minute I say that, it's almost like, you're cursing, like, But it honestly, I feel like if I go outside and we're constantly disrespecting each other, how can anyone else have the respect for us if we can't have it for ourselves?
Okay, there's two things I want to talk about that, but I want to go back to quote Charmaine when she addressed the church. I was going to say, a child is born with no state of mind, and it was the first lyrics by Grandmaster Flash, and if you listen to that song, he's talking about when a child comes to with nothing, what's the first thing we do? We put them in a public education school, and then we take them to church. And you take them to a church. An unhealthy religion is not a good religion.
That's right.
So if you're 4 or 5 years old and all you're doing is going to Bible school, choir, rehearsal, and then you're in 4th, 5th grade, and every time you open up a book, you're learning about Christopher Columbus, and you're singing about George Washington, you see no images of yourself, and the home is broken. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think? That's a recipe for gangs. That's a recipe for making a bunch of baby mamas. That's a recipe for not finishing school. Schools are built like jails and prisons. Private schools are built in a way for those kids to end up going to college, but not our schools. And the only way to have control of that is you got to own the property. So the government will make it hard for you to own your home, so you don't have no say so in the school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to create all these issues for you to not be able to do what you need to do in school because of a broken window policy that they have here in New York, which is if you steal a car and break a window, we put you in the system. We know that you're a career criminal. So you asked a question early on, how do we start this and that? I think that some of those things need to be acknowledged very early on. That's just my opinion. With the Black Lives Matter, I hear that Black Lives Matter has been an argument since 2011, right? Trayvon Martin, and then you go to Mike Brown, and then we go to
that part of it, I just want to put this out there really quickly. Sorry to cut you off. That part of it, I get 100%.
But hold on, Black Lives Matter is a statement to legislation. It is and I think what happens is that when people talk about the title, it brings these different conversations up, but it is all it is part 2 of civil rights. That's all it is. It is so we shoot ourselves in the foot when we don't. If you don't like the way Black people treat each other, you got to learn how to stay neutral on the Black Lives Matter conversation against government, because that conversation against government is to hold people accountable for killing unarmed children, which has nothing to do with how we treat each other. Mm-hmm. So we're mixing apple, oranges, and bananas. Bananas can stay on the table, but your oranges will rot if you don't put them in the refrigerator. You got to be careful how you mix these different conversations. But you're right. It is a conversation about how we treat each other, but that goes into the colonization of Black men and Black women see each other through the lens of white men. And we don't see love. We see Superman as a hero. That's why Black Panther was so successful, because all your life you've been told that Captain America and Superman was a hero. So when you saw T'Challa, you was like, damn, I can be like that.
We got our own hero.
I can be like T'Challa. And Black people are in such a sad state that we know Wakanda ain't real, but goddamn it, we hold on to Wakanda.
Ashe, I got a whole jewelry set. Okay, I get it.
We get mad if somebody even fuck with Wakanda. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I'm glad Marvel is not going to replace T'Challa, Chad Baldwin. They're not going to replace him. They're not doing no CGI. They're going to let it be what it is, and go another direction. And I'm glad, But those are the 2 points. And I love
it. I love it. And thank you for bringing that angle in, because again, I don't want people to get it twisted that there's no respect from me for the Black Lives Matters fight. But I am so passionate about the work in the communities that for me, I know that it's another layer of the conversation, and that it's a deeper layer, and that's the layer that I reside in.
Yeah, and that's an important layer. And that layer, it's so tough, man, because I don't want to tell the movie, but you guys, when you see this movie with Jim Brown, Malcolm X, and Sam Cooke and Muhammad Ali, about 4 hours sitting in this hotel arguing and talking about exactly what we're talking about right now. It's like a no-ending conversation. And then Sam Cooke and Malcolm X ended up like a year later or 2 years later. They're 65.
Wow.
and they were getting ready to fight in this hotel room. Jim Brown is telling Malcolm X, nigga, you ain't got the job. Sam Cooke is telling Malcolm X, hey man, stop saying I'm a sellout, man, because I don't make music like I can't his name Bob Dylan or something like that. The white boy who make the We Are the World type of song.
Activist movies, activist music.
Yeah, activist music. Yeah, Malcolm X was going at Sam Cooke for not making activist music, and Sam Cooke got so bad he had to leave out and go get a drink because he got tired. Because Malcolm X we love Malcolm, but at that time he's that radical calling guy who, most of our radical guys they don't have a lot of money, because the first thing that these guys do out here in the private sector is they make sure that they bleed you financially. Once you start talking anything that's anti-white or anti-government, I'm going to call my friend and call my friend. We're going to make sure you don't work.
Because that's where the power lies.
Yeah, we're going to make sure you don't work. And that's how all these guys, Paul Robeson, ended up on the streets homeless. Huey B. Newton, the leader of the Black Panthers, ended up smoking crack and dying. All these guys ended up, man, falling to the selfishness of the flesh because of the frustration. Because at the end of the day, they're just human beings. Mm-hmm. And in this conversation we have, and what we attack and attack and attack, but I really do think inner circles. I think what you're doing with Kwanzaa, that's why I don't mind being part of this, mostly because it's positive what you're doing. And sometimes we just have to say to ourselves, let's take baby steps, do your part, and then pass it to our kids. You know what I mean? Jaimie, then she broke up again. Can you hear us, Jaimie? All right. No? Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm here. I just got to disconnect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's all good.
We have a lot of work to do, yes, and I think that it just starts with one person.
Yes.
And it will ignite. And it will ignite. Yeah. If we keep sitting on the bench saying, well, you know what, my people ain't gonna get together. When is my people gonna get together? Well, what are you doing to help your people get together?
Right.
You know, let's change the narrative. Let's change that energy and say, you know what? I'm going to speak to one little kid on the street to try and shift that energy. And that little kid going to talk to somebody else. And it may not click with them right away, but it's going to click.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen that's going to cause that energy to shift. And they're going to say, you know what? I remember that old woman with all them locks in her hair. She had that kind of West Indian, kind of British kind of accent, was talking to me and whatnot. You know what she was saying was real? Yeah. I see it.
Yeah.
Now he or she going to pass it on. You know?
Yeah.
It starts with us.
And I realize too that it's amazing you say that it starts with us, because I think sometimes that when we buy into that you're a black race, right? We know there's no such thing. You can't. You're not going to be able to. There's no such thing as black race. That was created only so one can be inferior over the other and power, right? So I love Game of Thrones on HBO, and Game of Thrones remind me of all the medieval shows that I've watched. In the first 4 minutes of the Black Panther, this is a little test for you. What was the narrative and author when they weren't showing humans yet? They were just showing them like pearls and beads, and they were telling the story of Wakanda. What was the first thing he said about Wakanda?
I don't remember.
He said,
"You're gonna make me want to go back and watch it."
He said that there were 7 villages who all used to fight each other and enslave each other. Yes, and then they all agreed to have one king except one village, and that village went to the mountains. So I only say that to say sometimes we get kind of caught up because of this here, that there's going to be some type of teamwork, and that's falsehood. Even with Wakanda, they had to build a wall and not let other countries in. You know, everybody can't come to the picnic, and everybody can't come to the shop. Because their beliefs or what it is that they feel or that they're strong in, you're just inviting people who are typically going to be the ones that take you out. Who took Malcolm X? Malcolm X's personal bodyguard was a CIA informant. So, you know, you it's usually the person that's next to you or close to you that take you out every time. You know,
Yep.
and you also saw that in Wakanda too. That's what made Ryan Coogler such a great storyteller, right? Because in Wakanda, he also showed T'Challa's father in the beginning had to go and kill or bring back somebody who was selling the vibranium to CIA. He was a traitor, and this was come on, man. So everybody got to be screened. You can't trust everybody. And the only way to know that people are on the same mind, the same mind settings as you, is to know that they understand empathy and love.
Ashe, you said
empathy and love. Yes. If you have empathy, you put yourself in my shoes, and they teach that in Kill a Mockingbird, then I know that we got a long future together, and that we sharing the same common interests. But without empathy, you can't understand how I feel when I'm not with my kids. You can't understand how I feel when an unarmed kid get killed. You can't understand how I feel when I see people get escorted out the Capitol, but I see all the Black Lives Matter people, even the children, they showed up at Ferguson with bulletproof vests and machine guns. That's what empathy is. Empathy is not being quiet against white supremacists. It's being loud about white supremacists, because they got to be weeded out. And there ain't enough Black people to do it, and we can't be the only ones complaining about it. Everybody got to complain about it. The same people who work in the Dunkin' Donuts in the Black neighborhoods, the Spanish people who own the bodegas in the Black neighborhoods, they can't be quiet. This ain't their time to be quiet, because when they're done with us, then you're next. I don't need to be Mexican to understand having children in a cage was wrong. That's empathy. That's empathy.
Ashe. And on that note, we are right. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm going through the car system now. All right. So with that being said, that is like a perfect space to say thank you. To thank you both for supporting me, showing up, giving your energy and input on this topic that could go on and on and on. With that being said, Coach Charmaine and I will be working on a workshop where people can come and unpack and let's do some work together. My purpose in life is to help others cope, deal, and heal by any means necessary. And speaking on this topic allows me to do and to be that. And Coach Charmaine is my partner in crime, and Marlon is becoming my dude partner in crime on the low. We got plans to have a glass of wine and chat and see what we can do in this world, because it's like you said, we all have to do our part, whether it's small, big, or little. You know, because we could all just get up every day and eat and go back to sleep, and that's a beautiful thing too, because it's a blessing to be able to do that and to do it in a healthy way. But it's even better if we could give to each other, give to our communities, and continue to grow our folks and continue to make all of our Black lives matter.
You know what just Spirit just dropped in me? This is why I gave you your purpose, healing God's creation from beginning to end. This is why I gave you that. That's why I gave you that. It's not just seeing about your cousin who's not well. It's healing God's creation from beginning to end, any means necessary. And I'm down. I'm down.
That's why you're a partner.
That's how you find common people right there, Coach Charmaine. That was perfect. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That's how you find people right there, because everybody not thinking like that. Most people are just individualists. They only thinking about themselves. They think about themselves.
And my role is not to change. My role is not to change you, but my role is just to drop the seed, and hopefully it falls on fertile ground, and it can blossom into something beautiful.
Ashe.
Jaimie, we didn't get to hit none of your stuff.
Hey.
None of my
Jaimie, we didn't get to hit none of the stuff you wanted to hit, so we got to do that another show.
I agree. We definitely can do that. Athenia will make that happen.
Yes, yes, I will. So I just wanted to show. I wanted to. You guys are getting some super love over here, saying that they appreciate the male perspective on the stories, on our stories. Thank you. Definitely highlighting how you were speaking the truth on a number of different things. A lot of people love the conversation. People want to know more about the masterclass. So for sure, Jaimie, when you have that ready to go, let me know, and I'll share that out to the community. We had a lot of phenomenal discussion, beautiful words. Thank you. So this was amazing. It just warmed my heart. This should have been called the Wakanda conversation, because it made me. I was like, oh, dang. I'm like, you know what? I saw the movie like 4 times in the movie theater, so I was like, I need to go see it again. Because there's so many, like you said, Marlon, there's so many tidbits about it that, you know, that are coming to pass now. And yeah. So I'll leave it at that.
It's just like Game of Thrones. Everybody, the Game of Thrones, all those villages are fighting for power.
Right.
And that's what we're witnessing in America. It's and when you have people fighting for power and greed, that's when people manipulate God, and that's when empathy goes out the window, and that's when love is manipulated. And when you live in a capitalist society, you have to discuss capitalism, and they teach us that with Monopoly, and we don't even play it.
We don't, and we don't pay no mind. We just play it like it's a game, trying to get that little paper. Give me my paper and my little things. I want my little horsemen. That's all it's about. That's all we make it about anyway.
You don't pay taxes, you going to jail. If I own Boardwalk, I'm everybody with low rent gotta go. You don't pay your bills, you gotta go. And then when you become an adult, you realize real fast, hey, instead of me saving $10,000 and then I owe $10,000 on my credit card, why don't I balance that into my credit card, get my FICO score up so I can get more money instead of money just sitting? And you learn all that early with Monopoly. You got to survive in a capitalist society before you do anything. Then we can get into a race, because without money, we ain't gonna be able to do nothing.
That's right.
You're right about that.
I say.
You preaching real good. You preaching real good, Pastor Marlon.
He trying to have us back every month. I'm like, he trying to pack us back every month. Like, we can take over the lambs. We can have no space for nobody else.
I'm gonna have to add a title on there, Pastor Marlon. All right, now you better get here. All right. Well, I want to thank you all. It was a pleasure having you guys. You were a blessing to me, so I know you're a blessing to the community, and we definitely look forward to having you back shortly. We have a lot of opportunities to bring you guys back, especially in June. So we will definitely be in touch about that. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
So that was amazing. Oh my gosh, this has been a great time. Had great conversations, as everyone has shared, you know, phenomenal discussion, all of those things. I do want to leave you guys off with just sharing again about our today we talked about unpacking, right? We have a lot to unpack about our history, about the stories that we've told to ourselves or have been told by our family members that don't serve us, right? They don't serve us. Coach Charmaine talked about how it didn't serve her growing up, and then to have children, and how does that pour into your children? So we are having a vision board session tomorrow at 7. We will be touching on this generational curse idea because we can't see past our present to create our future if we do not clear our past. So we definitely hope that you join us on tomorrow. Like I said, it is $15. That is a love offering for all of the work that we have been putting on behind the scenes to make this a phenomenal event for you. So we definitely hope that you share, let other people know, and we look forward to seeing you on tomorrow. If we don't see you tomorrow, we definitely look forward to seeing you at our next monthly learning lab, which will be February 28th. We'll start at 4:30 because we are going to have an hour-and-a-half session with the Rokas, which are the Black Rockets. So we'll be talking about the history of how the Black Rockets got into the rock. Yes, and we talk about the Rockets like Christmas time, dancing, legs up, kicking, all that stuff. There's a whole lot of story behind that. And we're going to unpack that February 28th. So we hope to see you then. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to our time together again. Blessings and peace.